welcome, welcome.
All right, before you're seated, I need you to do something for 30 seconds that you didn't plan to do, and that is, I want you to celebrate the person next to you, your right and left. Before you do it, I don't want you to underdo it, because we have a tendency to celebrate people who don't know us and people who are not close to us because they catch a ball, sing a song, dance on the stage, and we say, and you couldn't call them if you got sick. You wouldn't know them, they don't know your name, because we tend to think that celebrity is your significance. But I declare that the person to your right and your left is absolutely significant, sacred, and strong. And if you cheer for them right, they'll do something in the future that's going to amaze everybody. Can you celebrate the people to your right and your left for about 20 seconds? Come on, 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 come on. Come on, say, let me celebrate your amazing. I'm applauding your amazing. I'm applauding your amazing. And while you are doing that, I want you to make some noise for a man that God is using to transform generations. Literally, I meet people all the time, all over the states, nation, and the world. But this brother that is with us this evening is absolutely extraordinary. And I'm so thankful to how God navigated circumstances, touched his heart. And I'll tell you more about how he adjusted to be here with us on this evening. I want us to celebrate the billionaire coach. And when you say the billionaire coach, sometimes people use titles without a testimony. I said sometimes people use titles without a testimony. But we've got somebody here tonight with a title and a testimony to match. I want you to celebrate the billionaire coach, the one and only Mr. Derek Whitehead. Come on, welcome him. Come on now, y'all. You got to do better than that. We are so honored and delighted to have him here in Houston, Texas, and here at the Community of Faith Church, Kingsdome Cathedral. We're grateful to God that you are here this evening. We're going to introduce you. Just I'm going to turn you loose, let you do what you do. And then I'll ask you some questions. But I want to say to you up front, thank you, because what most people would not even believe is I only laid eyes on him once before today at an unplanned meeting. I've seen him on the internet, social media. I've watched his delivery, his content, and understand his character and his commitment and his cause. I look for people with content, but I also look for people with character. I look for people with commitment to a cause. Yes. And if those things line up for me, then I want to be in their company. Yes. I hope you got that. And God has a way of navigating your life providentially so that you end up in the right places punctually in order to pursue the right opportunity. And so I want to thank you because we met one time in person. Yeah. Actually connected with your team at Fox, preparing for the interview with Isaiah Carey. And in that one conversation, you decided to change your schedule, stay in Houston for more than another day to be here to do this evening. Can y'all give this brother another hand? Come on. Absolutely. And so I want to, I guess the best way for me to do this is just introduce you and let you talk and let you do your presentation, right?
That's right.
That's the way we do it?
That's right.
Okay, and then we can do some Q&A.
There we go.
All right. One more time, let's welcome Mr. Derek Whitehead to the Empower Talk with Dr. James Dixon. Derek Whitehead, take the floor.
Thank you so much. Okay, all right, let's see if we can go right into it. Some people think I'm a little wordy, so if I talk too much, just start saying, we could leave that right there. Can we have those books? I wanna go through some things here, and we can take those off. Put those there. All right, I want to thank everybody for being here, and yeah, I did some stuff with Fox News the other day, and that was pretty cool. And we have a lady named Chelsea, and she has a great new thing going on. And Flipper T, we had her hype me up. And so we had her, and we had a great time teaching. I want to first thank the pastor because I'm a spiritual man. Okay. Yeah. So before I get into all of this stuff that I'm not going to talk a whole bunch about me and what I have, because some people may have seen me on stage with they had Gayle King and they had Stephen what's his name Stephen what's his name Stephen A. Smith, yeah, and they had Matt Barnes and all of us on stage, and some $1 billion hedge fund guy. And they asked everybody, they said, well, Matt Barnes said, what is the key to your success? And they got to Stephen, and Stephen said, well, don't be afraid of controversy. And I said, oh, okay. Now, this was a business thing. And the next guy says, well, the key to my success is this and that and this, but he never told anybody how he did it. And I said, and then when they got to me, they said, so Mr. Whitehead, we wouldn't have you out here if we hadn't done a background check. I said, oh, thank you. Okay. So he said, so what's the key to your success? I got the mic and I said, well, I didn't come here to talk about me. I came here to talk about how you can be us. And I won't say his name, but Stephen got pretty upset, and he said, I don't agree with this guy. He says, and it was a bunch of basketball players and football players, and some people may know, you may not know, I've been the guy behind the scenes for a long time. I've been helping people like Katino Mobley in your town, and Steve Francis, and he's actually on our website on economicmasonry.com, saying, in a testimonial area, saying, thank you, Mr. Derek Whitehead, for everything you teach me. I'm a better businessman. Yeah. So people like him and Scottie Pippen and a lot of people like that, Beyonce's mother and Tina Knowles and a lot of people like that. So if Beyonce goes in and she does $5-10 million on stage, the person that helped her put that on, the businessman or the businesswoman, is going to make 10 times what she makes. And then going to pay her maybe 10 million, and they're going to make 100 million. But you don't see them because they're behind the stage, behind the curtain. All right. So what I want to say is Stephen said, I don't agree with this guy because people have millions of dollars already and they don't need what he's talking about, and I don't agree with you. And then they came back around to me and they said, okay, Mr. Whitehead, so what do you didn't answer that question. I said, well, the first thing is I just want to say, Mr. Stephen, if you are in a business deal, $100 million deal, and that's easy to do. In fact, it's easier to get a $100 million complex than it is to buy a single family home. Okay? Because we're so busy worrying about our credit, but that's low end. Who cares about your credit when you're doing a $100 million deal? Nobody. Right? Okay. So I said, if you're doing a $50 million, $100 million deal, and you start having controversy with that person, I said, you can forget about that deal. Okay. So my mama, who's my shiro, single family mother, right? She said, I said, Mom, I'm around all these billion-dollar men, John Noble and John Carter and all these people with all these billions, and they're giving me hell. She said, well, son, we've been catching hell for a long time. And she said, you can kiss butt, just don't eat poop. So I went and I said, I walked in from there. I said, I got donuts. Everybody want donuts? You know. So I kissed a little butt. And all my career, all my life, a little short guy. They said, Mr. Whitehead. And I said, yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. Have a seat. I said, yes, sir, yes, yes, sir. Fix your tie. I said, yes, yes, sir. I don't know what the fix your tie thing is about, but it's always fix your tie. I said, yes, sir. He says, about this big, he says, the game is to be sold and not told. And for years I went through that. And I said, okay, yes, sir, I understand. And I couldn't wait until that non-disclosure, non-circumvent was over so I can come and teach it. Okay? Because this is something that I've learned is the 85% are the cattle. You may not like that, but that's the way it is. And the 15% are taught this upper echelon high finance. So what I want to do is I want to teach you some of the things that was taught to me that I was supposed to keep quiet. All right, so a little bit about my the background. We're not going to talk too long about me. I started out as a shipbuilder in Brooklyn, and I did some hard work. So I did build ships, and I said, the more I stay in school, I can get paid double for going to school instead of pulling these wires and doing all that stuff, this welding. So I went to welding school and plumbing school and shipbuilding school and all this stuff. And then I moved out of there, and I took all that stuff, and then I went to, got an engineering degree, and moved to California, and a lady saved my life because I was acting up. Boy, was I acting up. So she said, you need to come out of here. I'm going to California, and you need to come with me because you're going to be dead or in jail like your friends. I said, I'm not going nowhere. You know how much money I'm making? She started to cry. She said, I said, I'll come see you, come visit you. And a bunch of things happened over the week. I'm leaving crying. I said, I want to live. I'm going with you. And Danita Graham, she took me to California. And a lot of people don't know it, but I was actually an actor in a lot of films. I was in Jet Li's first movie, The Masters. He could hardly speak English. And I was on Any Other Fool But Me, a whole bunch of China Beach and all that stuff. I was I was in the New Lassie show and on Stage 21 and did a lot of that stuff. And it was worse in L.A. than it was where I came from. I said, I got to get out of here. So this lady took me to San Diego. And I said, I don't want to go. She said, you going. And so I left there, and I landed a job with Raytheon. And I started out, as a low guy there, and I wound up becoming a senior engineer and senior research and design. And we built missiles. I built the Patriot missile system, installed them on a command ship, Coronado, and the war broke out, and I was all over the world, and in Central Information Center and Top Secret Security Clearance blew, and I got hurt, and I messed up my arm, and I wound up building. Then I got married. I said, I need to settle down. And my ex-wife now, which I shouldn't have did that. I should have stuck with her, but and I hope she sees this. I got money now. So she, and it's always a woman that'll save you because they can multitask. Okay, we're like this, and they're like this. All right, so I just wanted to put that in there. And so I took a settlement, and I built one restaurant and 2 restaurants, and then I had a chain of restaurants in San Diego called Homestyle Fish and Chips, and it was pretty famous. And then I got the business bug, and so we built Primo and Prime Auto in San Diego. We still have it. We sell Jaguar, Mercedes, BMW, and Bentley, and some Rolls-Royce. And then after that, I built some more stuff and some more Temecula Gold and Jewelry, where we sell diamond engagement rings and Cartier watches and stuff, expensive watches. Temecula Gold and Jewelry, beautiful Temecula, California, plug. So then I got into some real estate and sold the restaurants and built a bunch of real estate. And when a guy walked into before I sold them, a guy named Kyle Freeman, he walked into my restaurant. And I'd known him for years. I said, hey, Kyle, how you doing, man? He says, they told me you'd be here. He said, you're doing good. I said, well, thank you, man. Thank you. Let's eat. So we broke bread. We sat down and ate, had some beers and laid back, full stomach. He said, man, you're doing good. I said, thank you, brother. He said, but you making pennies. I said, I'm making pennies. I said, you came in my restaurant, ate my food, and insult me? You a hater. You a hater. He said, come on, man. How long have you known me? I said, I've known you for years, man, but you hating. I said, you mean you making pennies? I said, do you see that? That's called a Lamborghini. I said, do you know the houses I live in? He said, yeah, I know, Derek, I know. He says, but you're making pennies. I said, well, if I'm making pennies, show me the dollars. And I leaned back. I thought I was a big shot. He said, I will. He said, I'll meet you here Monday, and I'll take you down and show you something. I was curious. I said, well, okay. But I still thought I was a big shot. I said, okay, yeah, I'll see you. So he came back on Monday, picked me up, took me out in San Diego. I got in the parking lot. Now I own a high-end car dealership, and I saw all these Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Rolls-Royce, McLarens, and nice car. I said, what is this, a high-end high dealership? He's got a little high voice. So we went upstairs, and all the way to the top floor, and he did some stupid knock. said, man, what is this? Come on. This guy opens the door. Who's that? He said, that's my assistant. I said, assistant? So he walked in, he closed the door, locked everything up. He said, sit right here. I'll be right back. He said, and if anybody asks you, tell them you're my assistant. I said, okay. Yeah, okay. So there was a kid standing there, and they all had their shirts off, and they were drinking and smoking and doing all kinds of stuff. And I was saying, what is this he got me into? My reputation. Can't be in here. He had the shirts off, and I know a good suit, okay? Good suit, 220 count. And I said, I'm sitting there watching this kid, and he's on the phone. Stan, how much did I make you, Mr. Mikowski? How much did I make you 6 months ago? How much did I make you last year? Come on, I need 125,000 shares of ZPI. You're the first person I called. I'm telling you, I'm gonna look. You got to ask your wife to put your pants on. What do you mean you got to ask your wife? I'm telling you, this is the best thing since sliced bread. You got to get it. He was drilling this guy. And finally the guy says, okay, so you'll take 100,000 shares. Don't insult me. I'm not going to I need 125,000 shares. I'm hanging up. I got people to call that wants this. Okay, you'll take 125,000 shares? Okay. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. They ring this bell. This smooth guy. He said, yes, he wants 125,000. Hello, Mr. Mikowski. So I understand you'd like to lock in at 125,000 shares. Yes, MIT, MTI, whatever it was. And he says, okay, sir, you consider yourself locked in. And how's the family? Oh, wonderful. The kids are okay? Yes. Okay, I'm sure you'll do well. You are now locked in. Thank you for your business, sir. I said, Kyle, what the, pardon my expression, hell happened here? He said, that kid just got $20 million out of that man in 20 minutes. I said, Kyle, how much does he get? He said, he gets 15%, and he's going to do that all day until he leaves. I said, Kyle, I want in, man. He said, that's why I brought you here. This is your desk right there. I said, Kyle, can I dial out? He said, dial 9. Hello, Susan? She was my manager at the time. I said, you are no longer making $60,000 a year. You are now making $125,000 a year, and you will control all the restaurants. Can you do that? Mr. Whitehead, can you do that? Yes, Mr. Whitehead, thank you. I said, okay, bye. I said, Susan, hold on. She said, yes, I will not be coming back. So little did I know I was in something. Now, maybe you guys have seen this movie called The Boiler Room. Anybody seen The Boiler Room? Put your hands up. Okay. The Boiler Room. And that was about people raising funds, and it was about a man named Richard Gavsby. Okay? And he's about big, and he lives in La Jolla Coves now. And so they have something that's called a boutique. And anybody that has notes, I want you to write that down. A boutique. They used to call it a boiler room, but it's called now a boutique because he gave it a bad name. Now, he didn't do all that stuff they said he did in the movie. They just made it big and blew it out of proportion. But this is dealing with the SEC. So I want you to write that down. Securities Exchange Commission, SEC. And then there's a company, something underneath them that's called FINRA. So what I like to do is, when you look at things, a lot of times in business, we look at things like the rabbit. If you notice a rabbit going up steps, he reaches one step, and he can only see the next step. And then he gets to the next step. He struggles to the next step. But what I want you to do is, and the way I've been taught, is to look at business like the eagle. Because the eagle can see all of everything. The rabbit can only see one step. So what I want everybody to do is to write down something that's called a business summary. A business summary. Not a business plan, a business summary. Okay. So what this does is this allows you to go in, and I want you to think like I used to think, like I was taught to think. There's rules to this, and if you follow the rules, 99% of the time you will win. It's just like there's rules, and my son was a pro football player, right? And there's rules to football. So if you go over and you play tennis on a football field, talking about one love with your little white outfit on, you're going to get hurt. Because that's not the rules of football. So just like there's rules to tennis, there's rules to football, there's rules to business. So what I want to do is I want to go through some of the rules of business, and then I want to start from the top down so you can understand where you can actually go. Is that all right? All right. Okay. So the first rule of business is, and I was fortunate enough to have people teach me, and so and they said the game is to be sold and not told. But it's very important, and they should teach this stuff in high school because everybody should have money. Am I right? Does everybody agree? Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So the first rule is other people's money, other people's ideas, and other people's efforts. Other people's money, not your money. Other people's ideas and other people's money. So we're not going to use our money because we're going to use something that's called a corporation that they made just to get money. They call that a special purpose entity. I want you to write that down. Special purpose entity. I'm a person, you're a person, it's a person too. They made a piece of paper, an entity, a person. So we're going to use that to get the money, just like the 15% do. The next thing is other people's efforts. When they first came here, a lot of people say, oh, they came here for religious reasons. And they spoke Latin. Now, back in the old days, 2,000 years ago, they spoke Latin, which all money is in Latin. If you look at your dollar bill, it says e pluribus unum. That means out of one comes many. Now, don't everybody here want to make $1 many? Okay. It's on the dollar bill. And so during Jesus' time, they spoke Latin, and I heard, from what I heard, Jesus spoke all of them. They're magnificent, man. Okay. And they spoke Hebrew, and they also spoke Aramaic. That's a poor language. And today, they speak something that's called Latin. If you go to court, and I'm an expert witness in court, so they call me, and whoever pays me is right. Yeah, he's right. So if you go to court, and the judge, here come the judge, he stands up, and they say, all rise, all sit down. And he sits on something that's called the bench. The bench. If you look up bench on Google in Latin, that means bank. Banca. Okay? And so we need to understand that, first of all, money is under water law. water law. That's why you have liquidity. That's why you have currency. That's why you put a watermark. You have a watermark on a check. You put your money in a bank. So the bank meets the land. The water meets the land. That's called a bank. They missed that part. When you put your money in the bank, where the water meets the land is the bank, like the banks of the Nile. Water law. People are under what they call moral law. So if we want money, we need to understand how this thing works. The one thing I don't want you to do after you leave here and learn how to get all this money, because the money is free. It's fiat money. It's not real, not backed by anything. Ever since Nixon, 1970s, it's not backed by gold or anything. So it's fiat money. Fiat money. Okay? So one thing I don't want you to do is to walk into a place in your Cullinan Rolls Royce or your Lamborghini or whatever fancy car and watch and whatever you have on, and then stand there and go pouring yourself a glass of champagne, and this old money walks up. Hello, how are you? He says, I'm fine, how are you? He says, well, what are you trying to do? And you say, I do nails. You say, oh, I drive truck. What do you do? Oh, I have a hair salon. Right away, they know you're a rookie. Because you ever eat a peanut, watch a movie, and you eat the peanut. And then you get another peanut. And the next thing you know, you pick up one, and it's very light. It has no substance. It has no density. So it looks good, but it has no density. It's light. So what I don't want you to do is to learn how to get all this money and then walk into a room around people who have money and understand money and be light. It's not enough for you to have money, but you should know that I belong here. Right? Am I right? Okay. Okay. So, all right. So what I'm saying is I want you to learn a term called the horizontal 8. A 8 is like this. The horizontal 8 is like this. So if somebody says, well, what do? You say, I'm a capitalist.
Right. Absolutely.
What do you do? I'm a businessman. I'm a businesswoman. How about yourself? I'm after that horizontal 8. That means infinity. There's no limit to the money I'm after. This doesn't stop. You only get to $1.5 million, which makes you an accredited investor, which means you can lose $250,000 for one person, and don't worry about it. Because the worst thing you can do is be pressured to pay your rent. Or the worst thing, or to be pressured that you have to pay your bills. We are magnets. And the pastor tells to this, God said be. And we're little gods. Is that right? Is that right?
That's Psalm 8. That's Psalm 8. I made you a little lower than the angels, which is, and the word angels is Elohim in the Hebrew, which means God in the plural. So God made you a little lower than himself and crowned you with glory and honor so that you can have dominion over what God made.
Come on, it's your pastor. He said, you thought you had me by giving me the mic, didn't you? I've been around a long time. So you say, I'm a capitalist. And he says, ooh, I'm after that horizontal 8. That means infinite. There's no, I'm doing this. This is what I do, and it will be done forever. And I'm a God with a little g, not the creator. God said, manifest, I can manifest. We just have to have the knowledge. Knowledge. Say, our people perish for lack of knowledge. Okay, so knowledge removes all fear. Knowledge removes all fear. All fear. So you may have a man that's 6'9", 500, 600 pounds. And you say, oh, I know if I make you chase me for a while, I know you're not tired. Knowledge. So what I want you to know is that where does Donald Trump live? He lives in the Capitol. Where does the people that run this country work? Capitol Hill. So the first thing I want you to say is, I'm a capitalist, just like them. Right? Does that resonate? Okay. We belong just like you do. I'm not a worker. I'm a capitalist. So when they came here, they said, there's Aramaic, there's Hebrew, and there's Latin, the high language. The same thing is today. People speak English, a poor language. And the Hebrew, they spoke Hebrew and Yiddish, right? And they also speak Latin, and that's what the high money is in, Latin. So if the judge says, sir, who's representing you? I'm representing myself, sir, Your Honor. So I think that you are not going to do well here because we speak Latin here. And I think you should go hire an attorney that went to school to learn Latin so you can be properly represented. Well, this guy, real story. How do you know I don't speak Latin, Your Honor? He said, because you said you're here representing yourself. You should have said pro per. That's Latin. So would you like to adjourn so you can get yourself proper representation? Yes, sir. He's a smart man. Okay. So the first rule is to understand money, other people's money, other people's efforts, and other people's ideas. Now, when they first came here, they said they spoke Latin like 100 years ago, hundreds of years ago. And they came and they said it was for religious reasons. That's a lie. That's a lie. They came here for free labor and free work, free labor, and free land. Free land. Old George took 2 million acres. 2 billion, that's 2 billion acres. And then old Thomas said, I want some, I want 1.8. So they came here saying, beautiful, faded footy, massive fat bow-legged, knock-kneed. That's a lie. They came here for free land and free labor. So what I want you to do is, I want you to deal with something that they call non-performance income. You write that down. We don't perform, we don't dance, we don't. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. That's over. Over. We don't come here and sing and dance and entertain. The only reason we do that is because we love what we're doing, not because we need the money. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Mindset. So, what we want to learn is other people's money, the bank's money. You cannot have more money than the bank because they print it. That's like saying I have more money than people who make the Monopoly game. You can't have more money than them, right? So, other people's ideas. When you're starting out in business, don't try to reinvent the wheel. If you want to be a basketball player, study Michael Jordan, study Wilt Chamberlain, study Iverson's crossover, and then incorporate your natural abilities with that. That's right. And then other people's efforts. Remember, non-performance, I don't perform, you perform. These people are coming here looking for all these, taking our jobs. I'm not looking for no job. In fact, come on. I got a job for you. I'm a capitalist. I'm looking to capitalize on anything that makes sense and is legal. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next thing is nothing is new under the sun. God put all this stuff here before we got here. The airplane is new. That's a bird. That's a bird with it. The stove is new. That's your stomach. Oh, the wheel is new. Did you happen to notice that the sun and the moon is round? God put it all here. We just have to pick up on it. So nothing new under the sun. So I want to show you that you can go in and have whatever you want to have and you can manifest. And now let's get to how we do it. Everybody ready to find out how we do it? Okay. All right. I don't hear everybody. Don't sound enthusiastic. We just go home. We can just go home. I can say, bye, thank you. That's your conviction. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to, oh, Lord. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. There you go. Sorry about that, brother. You still want the info? You did the same thing last week. Okay. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to show you something that a lot of people are not used to, but a lot of people go in and do anyway. They're not used to the understanding of businesses because it's not explained to us. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, so the first thing is we want to talk about the LLC. The LLC. You got your LLC? Girl, I've been had my LLC. I didn't know you had an LLC. My name is John, and I got my very own LLC. And it was easy. My name is Barbara, and my friend Janet and us, we got our very own LLC from legal, you know who. And if you don't want any money, get an LLC. Let's talk about the LLC. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. The LLC is limited liability company. It is not a corporation. It is limited liability company. It has what they call managers. And all the money that's made is distributed amongst the managers. An LLC is for like things that are risky. Like a truck driver. A truck driver has an LLC. Brother, you got a crew here. They came up and Thank you, brother. So the LLC is for risky things. It's for like trucking. That's dangerous. It's dangerous. Like construction. He says, or like a doctor. A doctor is usually an LLC or an LLP. Limited liability partnership or limited liability company. So the guy says, you operated on that guy or that lady, and they're going to sue you. Well, you're not getting anything from me because I'm a limited liability LLC or limited liability partnership. That's what that's for. Okay. Risky things. So the guy says, I was walking by, and this thing fell on my head, on my head while I was walking by your construction site, and I'm going to sue you. Well, you're not getting anything from me because I'm limited liability and I'm licensed and bonded. So be my guest. That's an LLC. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down a SIC code, S-I-C code. S-I-C code. You know what a SIC code is. That's why you're not writing it down. Okay. A SIC code is an identification process, and I didn't mention that. I used to teach some of these bankers, right? So my job was to go around and make sure that they understood the rules of compliance, of general accountants acceptance principles. That may sound boring to you, but those are the rules that they have to go by because this is water law. Water law, okay? So they go by a different rule. Now, in compliance, there's something called TILA and RESPA. TILA is the truth in lending. They must tell the truth. And RESPA is the numbers, are the numbers. You should not be over 7 cents off, but every loan is off 7 cents after 6 months. But that's grounds for getting out of the loan. Write that down. Okay. So that's called rescission. You have a 3-day right to rescission. You have a 2-year right to rescission to get out of the loan, and you have when you go into foreclosure of anything, you have a right to say, I don't want it. Most people don't know that. So this is banking. All right, so an LLC is not for getting money. And the one thing I want everybody to understand here is that we get money to do business. We don't do business and work. Oh, Lord. We don't do business to get money. We get money to do business. It may not sound like much, but if I say anything to you tonight, I want you to understand the 85%, they work. How many people have businesses and don't have any money? Lots of people. Lots of, so just because you get a business doesn't mean you're going to have money. So I want everybody here, maybe you've seen this movie called The Matrix. And everybody in there were like batteries, 85%. And I want you to take the blue pill and the red pill. The red pill, you wake up. The blue pill, you stay asleep. So those that want to stay asleep, you probably don't want to hear this. Okay? Okay? All right. Because some people just want to stay where they are. They'll come for entertainment. That's all. But knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. Am I right? Okay. So I want you to take the red pill. So everybody right now take a pretend red pill, right? Out. Red pill. Okay. So what I want you to know is when you have a LLC that's not for getting money. When you have a S corporation, and did we talk about this, the SIC code? Okay, so the SIC code is an identifier. A SIC code is what the bank's going to look at, and you can look this up online, is what they're going to look at to determine if they're going to give you some money or how much money they're going to give you. So a SIC code is comprised of a few numbers, and some people may understand something called a NICS code, but don't worry about that right now. So the SIC code, let's say, for instance, you're a truck driver, and it's very risky, dangerous. That SIC code might be 53742. Truck driver. Maybe you're a transportation industry. Transportation industry. And that SIC code could be 35721. So you're a trucker in the transportation industry, and that means no. That's dangerous. Wrong SIC code. Wrong SIC code. So I want everybody to go online on Google and look up SIC codes that banks like and SIC codes that banks don't like. SIC codes that banks like and SIC codes that banks don't like. Now you know what not to say. See, the biggest problem is the bank, if you walk into the bank, other people's money, and you know the data points. If they lend you $1,000, well, let's say $1 million, I like better numbers, right? So if you walk in the bank and you say, I want $1 million, the minute you sign that paperwork, they are worth 9 times more than what they lent you. So they want to give it to you, and they're dying to give it to you. So imagine if you gave somebody $1, and he said, sign right here, you owe me. And as soon as you signed it, it became a promissory note. Quickly, okay? And now you have 9 times that amount. Pardon me, but now it is 10 times that amount because they changed it. So what I want ultimately is everybody to start out and understand the things that they can do, but I want you to start thinking about being the bank and move paper. Being the bank. You have hard money lenders. All they do is move paper. The bank's not interested in your home. They're not interested in your car. They'll give you the money to get it. But we're going to get into that in a minute about how to move paper. Now, some people say, well, Mr. Whitehead, he managed $20.2 billion under management, and that's market-traded notes, non-performing notes. So when a note is performing, when they lend you money for a car and you're paying, that's called a performing note. When you're not paying, that's called a non-performing note. Get it? Okay. So now, do you know if the bank lends you $1,000, they now have 10,000 in their books. But if you are not performing and paying, they cannot do that. So they have to get rid of those toxic notes after they do but so many non-paying. So they will get rid of them for 3 cents on the dollar. So I told you I like to start at the top before we go down so you can determine where you want to go. So do you know you can actually buy non-performing notes at 3 cents on the dollar like credit card debt? You can buy them. Where you get those from, Mr. Whitehead? You get them from a debt broker. Just look that up on the computer. Debt brokers. Note brokers. Now, well, that's giving me the idea, but how do you do that? Well, let's say if you went in and you spent 3 cents on a dollar for $1 million worth of notes would be about $300. If you don't like math, you don't like money. No math, no money. Okay. So if you don't like math, get yourself a calculator. Today is 2025. And the next thing I want you to know is this is not a $1 million world today. This is a $1 billion world today. So when people say, Mr. Whitehead, you manage $20.2 billion under management, well, you are a subtotal of the 5 people that you're around. You are the subtotal of the 5 people you're around. So if you're around 4 people, including you, that's 5, and they're talking about having Volkswagens. As soon as he drive up in a new Volkswagen, he said, man, that's nice. I got to get me one of them. But if you're hanging around somebody that says, hey, man, you know what? He says, that's a nice plane you got. Yeah, it's a G7, man. So I just picked that up. But I don't like the seat covers. I'm gonna change the seats. It's a true story. I got a friend. He told me. He says, yeah, I gotta change the seats. I don't like the seats. I immediately went home saying, I couldn't sleep. So I gotta get me one of them. Am I right? I gotta get me one of them. Okay. So I'm not saying that people, because they have no money, if they're godly and they have a good heart, you don't get rid of the people that are good-hearted people, right? But think about being around people that have what you have or more, because there's what's his name? Smith plays in the movies. What's his name? Will Smith. He said, if you're smarter and you have more money than all your friends, it's time to get some new friends. All right? Okay. All right. So what I'm saying is think bigger. Instead of you thinking about buying that house and renting it out, think about buying an apartment complex. Floyd Mayweather fought for 40 minutes for $750,000. I know this guy right here. He's my manager also. He manages Johnny Danes with the grills. I was there with Floyd Mayweather. He came in with entourage. He's got every car there is. He's a $1 billion thinker. a boxer. This guy named Dr. Dre, he sold earphones for $1 billion. Now, that's great, but no one can beat a businessman or a businesswoman. Nobody. Nobody. Okay? So, if you buy $1 million worth of notes at $3, 3 cents on the dollar, non-performing, that's why it's 3 cents. So we got to get rid of this. And let's say it's credit card debt. Now you have 10 people, let's say for instance, with $100,000 each. That's $1 million. You bought that $1 million worth of notes with 10 people at $100,000 for 3 cents on the dollar. But it's not good to you. I mean, it's 3 cents on the dollar, it's worthless. But you can say, hi, sir. You ever see these debt collectors calling you up? Hi, sir. I'm from such and such, and I own your debt. I'm getting ready to hang up. Don't hang up. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Man, I ain't trying to hear this. Look, you can go kiss me. Well, take it easy, sir. You know, people get tired of that. So you say, I'm here to help you, sir. You know what? I own your debt. And I've done research. I went to LexisNexis, and I paid a little bit of money. And I know where you work. I know how much money you make. Everything since you were 16 years old. LexisNexis. You write that down. Okay. So now, I can take you to court and garnish you your money, and I'm going to win. But I don't want to do that. What I want to do is, you owe me $100,000, and you have bad credit. I'm going to erase all the negatives off your credit. Really? That's right. Today's your lucky day. You know what else I'm going to do for you? I'm going to cut. You owed me $100,000. You owe me $100,000. I'm going to cut that in half. Now you only owe me $50,000. Really? That's right. You know what else I'm going to do to you? Today is like your birthday, sir. You were paying me $5,000 a month, and I know it was rough, wasn't it? Yes, sir, it was kind of rough. Yes. Can you pay me $800 a month? I sure can. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you a document that says, these are the terms, and I want you to not miss a payment between 6 and 8 months because bets are all off. You miss a payment, we're right back. Can you do that? Yes. And you send that to them, and they send that document back notarized. And after 6 to 8 months of them paying, some banks are 6 months, some banks are 8 months. After 6 or 8 months of them paying on time, that becomes a performing note. Did something go off here? Okay, let me know now. Okay, this is audience participation. Because if I don't think that you get it, I'm not leaving this church till you do. Okay. Now you have a performing note. And if you do that with 10 people, now it's not $1 million because you cut it in half. But it's worth right now $500,000. You paid $300 for this. Now you can go in and say, Mr. or Mrs. Bank, I have $500,000 worth of performing notes. Now, just so your information briefly, when the bank closes, I know, when the bank closes, Do you know they trade in Hong Kong, in different places like that, in trillions of dollars? That's called market trade, MTNs. MTNs, you write that down. MTNs, market traded notes. That's where they make the real money. And so we sitting around here wondering about government cheese. Section 8. The money's free. It's springtime. Okay. And so now you can go into the bank and say, Mr. Bank, I have $500,000 in notes. Are they performing? Yes, they are. And I would like to borrow 75%. The bank will usually lend you 75% of whatever on a performing note. So now you have 750 is a million, 350,000 approximately is 500,000, 350,000 you can borrow now. So you take 50,000 out to service the loan. You don't go buy a Ferrari. You don't go buy a Lamborghini. That's coming. Right? So you go in and take that 300,000 because you took 50 out to service the loan. So what I want to show you in a minute is to make sure that you service the loan, because when we borrow money, we need to have an exit strategy. Am I right? Exit strategy. Get out of that thing. Your baby's not always as pretty as you think he is. Girl, you had your baby? Yeah, girl, I had my baby. Girl, you look good. Let me see the baby. Just baby, let me see. Okay. Girl, he looks strong. He looked just like his daddy. You know his daddy ain't cute. What you trying to say? Sometimes your baby's not as cute as you think he is. But I got news for y'all now. I was in the store and I was shopping. And the girl said, Mr. Whitehead, Mr. Whitehead. Well, I said, who is that? I said, hey, how are you? Hi, how are you? She said, you don't remember me? I'm little Barbara. I said, little Barbara. She said, Miss Janet's daughter. You used to be her friend when I was a baby. I saw you in the pictures. I know you. You're all over the internet. I says, you Barbara? That little baby there? I was like, she said, yes, I'm Barbara. Lord, if I was 40 years younger. I said, I got a son for you. But those babies, sometimes they grow up. And they grow up pretty. So it started out ugly. Now, that's the same thing with your business. Okay, that's the same thing with your business. Okay? Okay? That's the moral to that story. Sometimes your business may need 6 months, may need just another year, but you don't have access to capital that will take it over the next level. That's the moral of that story. The moral is not ugly babies. Okay, it's just, okay, they grow up strong and so, yeah. So the thing I want to say is that you can go in, get notes. I'll start at the top, and then we're going to go down. So you can go in and get notes. You can go in, you can do something that's called going into bankruptcy court, right? I brought a lot of real estate. And at the thing we had on Saturday, there was a man that listened to what we said, and he went in and brought a complex. If you look at the information that we did, he came on stage and said, yeah, Mr. Whitehead, you showed me how to do that. So you can go in. It is your right in a federal court to go sit in the back of the bank. It is your right. That's your court, federal court. The bankruptcy court, your personal court is going to be Chapter 7, Chapter 13. Don't do that. But the bankruptcy court is Chapter 11, business. The business. And everything we're talking about today, 90% is going to be about business. So if you walk in there and sit in the back of the court, take your booklet, you're going to see people walk in there next, John Meteor Enterprises. Yes, sir. I understand that you trying to file bankruptcy, and you have the trustee here, and yes, sir. Ultimately, you have to get rid of everything to pay back your debtors. I understand, sir. So you have a television appliance company. Yes. So how much assets do you have? I have about $5 million worth of televisions and radios and cell phones and brand new. You writing it down. I like that one. Everybody's walking up there saying, I have a problem. Get rid of it. Get rid of the stuff. Do you know, you walk out and you're following a man. Excuse me, sir. You know, I know that you have to liquidate, and I just wanted to know, how much are you selling those big screen televisions, 75 inches, flat screens in the box, Sony? Well, they're worth 10 grand. I want to buy 20 of them for $1,000 a piece. I don't know about that. Well, I understand, sir. Here's my card. If you get desperate, if you, just give me a call. Give him 2 days. Hi, this is such and such. Can I speak to Derek Whitehead? Janet? Yes. Well, I'll take you up on that deal. I'll give you, but you have to buy 20. Where can I meet you? Where can I send the money? Where can I go and check the TVs out? You get yourself a nice little storage. You buy the TVs, they're in the box. You put them online, you sell them for $9,000. They're worth 10. They're gone in 2 days. You got a $10,000 Sony for $9 grand? What's wrong with it? It's in the box, sir. I've just, had a company. I got the stuff. I have to move. I have to move it. That's it. You just made yourself. You don't like math. You don't like money. Do the math. So there's tons. I want you to be the bank. You be the bank. Now, you can go to bankruptcy court and make money all day long with that, or you can do notes. You can do many, 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 many things. So in the case of, for time, I want to get to, now I want to go in and talk about how to go and get the money and what type of corporation that's made to get the money. So you have an LLC, that's limited liability. Nobody likes limited anything, especially the bank. That's for risky things, that's for real estate, that's for a pass-through. What is a pass-through? So an LLC, a S corporation, that's for usually your tax person says, get yourself an LLC or an S corp so you don't have to worry about those taxes, a lot of those taxes. Now, we're not here to avoid tax because the tax person is your friend. The bank is your friend. In fact, the bank is my best friend. I had a guy, good friend of mine. He was in the car, came down to visit me, and he says, man, you remember that, man? We were in the club. And then these guys broke out, man. I was back to back. And we was like, yeah. I said, that was great, man. You had my back. He said, that's right, man. I'm your best friend. I said, you're not my best friend, bro. He got insulted. Willie Williams. He said, man, what you mean? I'm not your what you mean? I said, you're not my best friend, bro. He says, well, who is your best friend? I said, we're going right now, man. I'm going to take you right now. We pulled up, parked. He said, man, I thought you said we was going to best friend. I said, man, this is my best friend. This is the bank. He said, you got jokes. I said, no, brother. Remember I needed that $350,000 for that bridge loan for that deal, and you didn't have it? Man, I wasn't liquid at the time. You know I would have gave it to you. I said, but my best friend gave it to me. So you're my second best friend. So we're not here to beat the bank, and everything I say here is from my opinion and for educational purposes. We have to say that. We're not brokers, we're not finders, we're not attorneys. If you need anybody in those areas, please seek those people out. We're giving you this information freely because we believe everybody is a friend, and we will continue to give this information to you. Okay? All right, so what we want to do is S Corporation, LLC. S Corporation is a pass-through, so when you make the money, a lot of times you don't have to pay tax on double taxation on what the corporation made and what you made because the corporation paid you. So that's double taxation. But nobody cares about double taxation because if I find $1, I'm taking that to the tax man. Because they're cousins, and he's going to say, take this to my cousin, and he's going to believe me when he get it from me. And he's going to say, okay, let's see how much more I can give you, because this is validation. So everybody's so busy thinking about, this is a cash business. Can you pay me in cash? You're shooting yourself in your foot. Because we're trying to build something, not us. We're trying to build a company. It is not what you're worth. It is what your company value is. Company value. So, Oprah Winfrey does not have $7 billion under her mattress. It won't fit. Won't fit. Amazon, Bezos, does not have $150 billion in his closet. It won't fit. That's how much his company is worth. I don't have anything. This is not my watch, it's Willie's watch. This is Willie's ring. That's Willie's car. Some people see you riding on a Rolls Royce and all that stuff. That's not my car. We control everything and own nothing. Okay? All right, so there are rules to this. If you follow the rules, you will more than likely win. If you don't follow the rules, you will more than likely lose eventually. If you keep going through that drive, that stop sign, and you never read the manual, driving manual, you don't know the rules, you may get through every now and then, but pretty soon your car's going to wind up in the junkyard because there's rules to this. So now, we understand the LLC. We understand the S Corporation. That S Corporation is, hey, you know what, man? I like your company. I want to invest. I hit the lottery. I like your company. He says, okay, let's go. You make money, I make money. You make money, I make you. We lose, you lose. It's an investment. He says, well, hold on. I don't want to be a part of your company. I don't want that capital thing. You know what I mean? Well, I have the perfect thing. I have an S Corporation. That's what that's for, investors. So if you don't have investors, why do you have an S Corporation? Because they're not teaching us. Now, remember I said there's one company or one entity that is made just for getting money. And we get money to do business. We don't do business to get money. And which one is that? Somebody said something. C corporation. That is the C corporation. So let's go through the C corporation. It is a special purpose entity or a special purpose vehicle. You can write that down. Special purpose entity. It is an entity. I'm an entity. You're an entity. You taste, touch, smell, and hear for it. You're only an officer. You don't own it. My company. You don't own it. It's a person. Okay? So with that person, it's a special purpose entity. And everything you have, it has to have. So you have good credit because when you walk into the bank is going to say, for credit cards, $1, $2, $3, $4, $500,000, that's how you start out. So they're going to say, who's going to borrow the money? Willie is. Because the United States is a corporation out of Delaware. I didn't say the United States. I didn't say the United States in America, North America. I said the United States of America. It's a corporation formed in Delaware. You can look that up. And this is a business. That's why they are capitalists working on Capitol Hill. So why?
I need you to slow down. Explain that one more time.
Yes, sir.
The United States is a corporation.
It's a corporation. That's why they have a president, a vice president, and a secretary. And that's the same thing you should have. That's why the president can say, you bombed us someplace and you're going to jail. I didn't do that. United States of America did that. So you walk in and you go get the money with Willie Corporation. And you walk in the bank and they say, do you have something that I can make 9 times the amount that I lend you? I speak Latin. E pluribus unum. Horizontal 8. Get in here. And they say, who's going to borrow the money? You say, Willie is. Well, what documentation are you going to give us? None yet. None yet. None. I'm going to give you no doc and stated income. Stated income. Stated. No doc and stated. Now that's for credit cards. Okay? So we want to get $1, $2, $3, $4, $500,000 in credit cards. Then they're going to say, well, who's going to make sure we give our money back, get our money? Because you're not giving us any documentation. Willie's going to make sure you get it back. Well, who's going to guarantee it? I am, because I have a good FICO. I didn't say a good credit score. I said a good FICO. So I ask some people sometimes, I say, what is your, you're going to PG the corporation. That means personal guarantor. So you're going to guarantee the corp. So I says, how's your credit? I got a 550. Oh. I got a 480. My credit ain't that bad. Okay. I got an 800. You got an 800 credit score and you're not a millionaire? This is a capitalist society, credit-based country. Cash is not king. Credit is king. The United States is $37 trillion in debt. But they are the most powerful country in the world, and everybody, I've been around the world, everybody uses our money. So let's follow what the bank does. Well, I don't know about that credit because see that credit. Well, guess what? We use credit. We don't let credit use us. I got a $10,000 Chase card. Honey, let's go shopping. Just got this card. It's burning my pockets up. Now you come back from shopping or Puerto Vallarta or whatever, Kinko's and Caicos, wherever you go. And you say, boy, that was fun. Now comes Monday, you got to get up and work double hard to pay that card back. But we're capitalists. We don't let credit use us, we use credit. So we take that card and we say, there's a guy around the corner that had COVID and he's selling his car for $5,000. It's worth 10. So I'm going to take that $10,000 card and I'm going to swipe it. See, I'm like Edward Scissorhands when it comes to credit cards. I'm like, I get carpal tunnel from. So we're going to swipe that card, take the money off the card, and then we're going to buy the $5,000 card, make sure everything is right, and then we're going to put it online and sell it for $9,000, not $10,000. And now we made ourselves about $4,000. And then we pay the bank back that $200 for borrowing their money, other people's money. And now we're $3,800 in the green, in the love, right? Then we go shopping. We use credit. We don't let credit use us. Now, say, for instance, you had a bunch of credit cards. And do you know you can put 5 people on one credit card as an authorized user? 5 on one card. I wouldn't do it in American Express because they've changed up things. Okay? 5 people on one card. Sometimes somebody wants to have a 720 credit score, and they need just another 10 points. They need a 720. They got a 710 to get that good interest rate on the house or whatever. You say, I'll put you on my card, and I got good credit. It'll build your credit up. You call that an authorized user. Now, if you did that with 5 people on one card, that's $2,500. What if you did that with 10 cards? That's $25,000. So why are we looking for Section 8? This is about the only country in the world that you can take fake money with credit and turn that fake money into real things and put them into your corporation, and now your corporation has value. So that's why they call it real property, because the money is fake. That's why it's real. So you can take fake money that you get from the bank with credit and then buy real houses. That's why they call it real estate. It's real. So it's not the amount of money that you have. Nobody cares. If you said, I got $10 million, I'd say, I'm picking my nails. That's nice. Because anybody with money, how much liability and tax you going to pay on ownership of that money? That's rookie. But if you said, my company is worth $10 million, I'm going to say, put on my glasses then. I'm going to, who are you? Where you come from? Let's talk. Because you can spend $10,000 on a yacht tomorrow and be broke. The bank knows that. Investors know that. Is worth $10 million. Now they know. If you have a sole proprietorship, you can sell that for 3 times the amount of what the value is. If you have a corporation, you can sell that for 6 times the amount of the value. If it's a publicly traded company or a fund, that's how they build skyscrapers. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. Then that means it is worth 9 times. And the reason I say that is because don't fall in love with the business. Okay. Rule number 5, don't fall in love with the business. Love means compassion. That's what Jesus had said, love one another. That means compassion. You can't love a car. I had a guy named John Noble, $6-7 billion. He taught me real estate. He recently passed, San Diego, La Jolla, and John Noble. And in my first restaurant, I was in love with it, but I wasn't making any money. And so he came to visit me. He said, how are you? Because he rented me the place. He had all this real estate. And I said, John, I said, I'm not making any money, John. He says, sell it. I said, sell it? I said, John, I love this. This is my baby. He said, walked up to me and said, you're too much a stupid. I got in, so I said, I'd beat out punch you. He said, I said, what? He said, you're too much a stupid. You can't love something don't love you. I said, wow, it's a hard decision. He says, you'll have to make the decision. Do you want money or do you want restaurant? Rule number 6, understand what you want exactly. You may think these things are fly by night, but if you know the rules, 99% of the time you will win. If you don't follow the rules, 99% of the time you will lose. So every business is to be sold. Even if you don't intend to sell it, you build it to sell. It's called mergers, sales, and acquisitions. We're not talking baby talk today. We're talking money. This is not motivation. I'm not Tony Robbins, okay? You know, walk across the hot coals. If your feet burn, you're not ready. You're ready. Ah. Sales, mergers, and acquisitions. Sales, mergers, and acquisitions. So you're either going to buy it and sell it, or you're going to merge with somebody and become bigger, or you're going to buy a business. And buying businesses is a great thing. Why? Because this may not sound good to you, but we're businessmen and businesswomen. We take advantage of other people's losses. I didn't say we of people. I didn't say we create the loss. But if this apartment complex is in foreclosure, I will buy it. And I'll help you by buying it. Rule number 7. We take advantage of other people's losses. We're capitalists. I will capitalize on that. So, typical example, really quick. Guy says, I have a 250 unit apartment complex. Let's think big. While you're flipping, it's time to move up. It's harder to purchase a single family home. What's your bank statements? What's your credit like? What's your firstborn? What blood type do you have? When you're talking about a $250 million deal, nobody cares about your credit. They're capitalists. I don't care about your credit. What do they care about? They care about 2 main things. What is the story? What's the story? every investor, every banker, everybody wants to know. Because it's not money anymore. It's the deal. It's the excitement of the deal. So I want you to go into business not as a venture. They call a business a venture. I want you to enjoy the ride and then call it an adventure. Because it's easy to get to $1.5 million. And I want to show you that. But number one, don't be stressed out drinking pink stuff to calm your stomach. What's yours is going to be yours. God's going to give it to you if it comes from here. You don't own none of this. God says, you've been a good servant. You came from the heart trying to help. I'm going to give this to you. How do I know that? Because I was, I thought I was a big shot. I was walking on water. Jesus, I'm walking on water. People will say things like, yeah, go get that. Mr. Whitehead, I don't have time. Bad Mr. Whitehead. And then Mr. Whitehead got sick. And I said, Lord, this money can't help me now. And I started saying, my mom always made me go to church, and I spent the church money and the candy. And I said, you put this $4 in church. Yeah, I know I'm going to do this for a soda, I'm going to do a slice of pizza, candy. But I knew, I said, you know what, God, and we always say God in the worst position. We don't say God when we up there. I'm just saying. So I went in, I said, God, if we could just help me. Like somebody going off the bridge. First thing they say, oh, God, oh, God. While we wait. So God helped me. And I had this restaurant, and I ate something, and it messed me up. And they said, man, you bad off. So you got to take these, you miss one pill, you done. And I was helped. And I said, after that, I'm just a guy with money, a servant. So what I don't want you to do is get money, because money can do strange things to you. Oh, man. So we're going to learn how to get this money, but we need to make sure that we keep it down. You the same, I'm just Derek, Rebecca's son, with some money. Now you say, man, Mr. Whitehead preaching, I'm an old dude, so, but I'm going to get back to the money. Okay. Well, I wish this guy would get to the money. Right? Okay. Okay, so we go in, we get money to do business. We don't do business to get money. And when you walk into the bank, the worst thing you can do is to act desperate. Because banks give money to people who want money, not people who need money. Does that make sense to anybody? And they're taught. I used to teach some of these people. You find a person that's, oh, Lord, if I could just get this loan, sir. Oh, sir, I was, shucking and jiving. That's over. If you do that, they will say this is desperation, and you cannot work at a desperation. Cannot work at a desperation. So you walk in the bank, you say, I know you want it much as I do. I have a few people that want to give it to me. I like your bank. So I'm going to give you the opportunity because I understand data points. And I understand that's what I need to understand for you to give Willie that money. So let's go into data points. Okay, so we're going to go in, and a corporation is a person. C corporation. C corporation is a person. I'm glad this is not a glass because I'm clumsy. So the C corporation, everything you have, it has. So the C corporation has what they call a good standing letter. It's a person. This is the thing with the seal on it. Okay? The seal on it. This is not complicated. You can learn this, right? Repetition is the mother of success. So this is a good standing letter. It means that you are in good standing, just like if the police take your driver's license and they run that driver's license and it says, oh, okay, you don't have a warrant, you're in good standing. Good standing letter. These are articles of incorporation. This is its birth certificate. Articles of incorporation. Articles. This says, this is who we are. This is what we do, and we'll abide by all rules that are applicable to us. And in here, you have something that's called shares. 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 So whenever you buy a corporation, I want you to know you are already rich. You just don't know how to put the puzzle together. Okay. So in here, they give you something. If you're a citizen, you say, I'm born here in this America. This is about the only country you can do this. They put this thing together so nice. Sometimes they say, you have to say, is this illegal? It's too good. Got to be illegal. But it's not. We don't do anything illegal. So they give you as many shares as you ask for. Now let's understand this. If you were in Africa or a village somewhere in Bulgaria or whatever, the rich person is the person that has stock. The more chickens and the more cows and the more bulls that you have, you say, I'm going to have my daughter marry your son, and we'll be double richer. When we go, they'll be double richer. Because they have stock. Stock, right? Now, these things have stock. So, quick little story. Long time ago, they used to have people that they used to sell, and they were stock. And they used to sell them on the market. What they look like? How
They look like us.
They look like us. Now, I'm not getting political. I know some people need a hand up, and some people, not a hand out, just a hand up. And some people need tax breaks like me. Okay. So I don't get into the politics. I'm just saying. They had stock, and they had a market. When they took away the stock in their market and said, you can't have them that stock anymore. I said, well, that ain't fair. That's not fair. So what are we supposed to do? Don't worry about it. Take it easy. Shh. We're going to replace that stock stock person with a piece of paper. Now, we're going to trade that. We're going to make a market for that paper that you can trade on. Anybody, is this making sense? If it's not, raise your hand. Very important. You're already rich. Now, if somebody was to jump out a puzzle, a lot of puzzle when you were a kid, and say, put this together. When you put that together, you'll see a map to the money. But nobody taught you that you take the corners and find them and put them in the corners. And then take the blue pieces, put them together, then the yellow, and then the red and the blue, and you put the puzzle together easily. But nobody taught you the construct of how to do it. Hear now the news. So we have in here something that's called shares. Let's substitute shares for the word assets. Assets. Remember, it's not how much money you have, it's the value of your company. Oprah doesn't have $6 billion in her mattress. That's what it's worth. What has the worth? The shares have the worth. When you first get a corporation, it has 0.002 par value. That means nothing. It's worth nothing. When you take the credit and buy things that are real and put them in your company, your shares now have value. Anybody not get this so far? Raise your hand if you don't get this. Put them into your company, and those are called assets. The assets, substitute that word for shares. Your shares now have value because you have bought something real. You can't put credit into your company and have any value. You have to use that. See, they made this game, ooh, it's brilliant if you have the 15% that understand it. So you buy gold, silver, houses, things that have intrinsic value. And then you put them into your company on your asset sheet. And now when you go to the bank says, what assets do you have and what liabilities do you have? Well, I have $1 million worth of assets, and I have $200,000 I got to pay in bills every month. So that leaves me with $800,000 worth of value. So what's the value of your company? $800,000. So let's substitute shares. And I told you, you're already rich. So let's substitute. They give you as many shares as you ask the state for. So you don't have to go out and raise stock and cattle. Oh, they slick. That's why everybody hates us. We got to force to use your money, and you don't have no stock for real. Yes, we do. Who said so? Because I said so. You see them jet fighters? Don't make me act up. Why do we have to use your money? Because I said so. Don't ask me again. That's how it is, right? That's how it works. So don't hate the game and hate the player. Learn the game and be a player. Okay, so let's talk about how to build this thing into a person. Now that we understand the inner workings of it, let's talk about building this into a person. This is a person. You do not own it. So anybody that has a corporation or a company, a corporation, you should always have more than one person on your corporation as an officer. If you don't, they can smell a rookie. Remember I told you about the shell that you're eating peanuts and it's like an empty shell? It's lightweight. They can tell because you walk in there and they say, I can name that tune in one note. You're a rookie. You got an LLC. You got a dangerous name for a business. So you should never name your company anything specific. You should name your company so that something that's basic means nothing. You ever notice Sony doesn't mean TVs? Starbucks doesn't mean coffee. Walmart doesn't mean cheap clothes. Apple doesn't mean computers. They do better because they know better. So as soon as you walk in into ABC, something they don't like, and you only have approximately 50 points in a corporation because they know you can wiggle out of that situation. But only 100 points on a personal because they know we'll just take the car back. We'll just take the house back. We'll cut the credit cards. See? So we got to stay at the top. We got to stay at the top so that we know we only have 50 points to go down. So let's keep it up. So let's talk about data points. So in a corporation, you're going to PG the corporation. Personal guarantor, right? Okay. That means personal guarantor. Who's going to get our money back? Make sure we get it back, right? And before I go there, I want to make sure that we understand never have one person as an officer in your corporation. Why? I had a restaurant, my first one, and I used to run to the door. Welcome to Homestyle Fish and Chips. We have you come on in, and then I run behind the counter. Hey, we got red snapper, we got pollock, we got such, we have shrimp. And then I said, your waiter will be there in a minute. And here I come. What would you like, ma'am? Today we have red snapper, we have such and such. Okay, it's a real story. Excuse me. I said, yes. The bathroom's overflowed. I said, I'll send in the maintenance man. And they see me running by, they're cleaning them. And then I run out of there, clean my hands, and go help the cook prepare. That's what you look like with one person on your corporation. That's how you look to the bank or an investor. So you always want to have, like the United States of America, a president, a vice president, and a secretary. The secretary is very important. They know where all the bodies are buried. Don't sleep on the secretary. Didn't I tell you? You told me what? I know about okay, I'll let that one go. That's why you have the Secretary of War, the Secretary of Commerce, the Secretary of this. Very important person. So the president is there to handle things and take your company to higher planes as a capitalist to get more money. That's your job. Your job is not to work. not to work. Non-performance income. And the vice president is there to handle things when the president is not around. And the secretary takes care of everything, like the minutes and the documentation and all that stuff. So, in the corporation, we want to make sure we go in and say, I'm going to PG. They say, okay, what are your data points? But they're not going to say data points. The person that's going to borrow the money is going to be internally called the Chief Financial Officer, CFO. That's internally in the bank. But on the outside, see, we have private and we have public. Inside the bank, I'm teaching you private. Outside the bank is going to be public. So the public, you're going to be inside the bank, the private is going to be CFO. Outside the bank is going to be PG, personal guarantor. Okay. Once the personal guarantor comes in, they're going to say, how's your credit? You're going to say, I'm going to personally guarantee it. It's not my money, but I'm the guarantor. And they're going to say, what's your credit like? And what they mean is a FICO. So let's go through the FICO. If you pull out your driver's license, whatever's on your driver's license, if it says John Harris, that's what should be on your credit report. It should match your driver's license. If not, if you have John J. Harris, Harris J., those are considered aliases. Aliases. And you go down in data points. Because they say, you're using aliases. You're like, but that's me. That's not on your driver's license. Right? Next thing is what is your address? You say, my address is here, 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 here. You're unstable. So you should have one address. Whatever's on your driver's license should be on your credit report. The next thing is they know you can wiggle out of that situation. So you should have what they call, you should have no more than 3 inquiries. No more than 3 inquiries. And there's ways to get rid of them. You should have no less than 5 trade lines. What's a trade line? A trade line is when somebody's giving you money and that they report it to the 3 credit reports. What are credit reports? The personal is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. There's many of them, but those are the main 3. And you say, well, everybody knows that. Nobody's left out. I didn't know it one time, and somebody here may not know that. So I'm not going to assume that you do. The next thing is no lates, no derogatories, any of that stuff. I say, well, Mr. Whitehead, I have some of those things. Get it off. You know, the United States government, Congress said, that over 10 million people every year have bad credit. And as a result of that, because a lot of times they have bad credit because there's mistakes. Things are inaccurate. So you can go in and do something called a FTC report. An FTC affidavit. An FTC affidavit. You can download that on Google. Download an FTC affidavit. FTC, Federal Trades Commission, FTC, and they oversee the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is the Bible for the bureaus. Now, those are not bureaus. Those are what they call data furnishers. They furnish data. So if you go in and you fill out that FTC affidavit and you say, this is inaccurate. If you believe it's inaccurate, I'm not looking at it. You know. All right. You know. If you think it's inaccurate, it's inaccurate. If you feel as though it is. I can't tell you what to do. I can only say what the rules are. Okay? So you go in, you say, this is inaccurate, and you write all those things down, and then you mail it out certified. You mail it out certified. Once you mail it out certified, before you mail it, so this way they can't say they didn't get it. Now, once you mail that out certified, they have 30 to 45 days, 30 days, but sometimes they can have another 15 days extension. So give it 45 days. Now, before you mail it out, what I want you to do is to go in and get what they call, shutting down the third-party bureaus. Now, does anybody here understand any of the third-party bureaus? Okay, so when they check, they say they're checking with the original creditor, like they're checking with Citibank. They're not checking Citibank. They're checking with a third-party bureau, like LexisNexis. They're checking with a third-party bureau that's called CFPB. They're checking with, name some other bureaus, son.
Innovus. SageStream. SageStream. Yes. You have CoreLogic.
Name some more. This is Neil in charge of the credit, him and Brandon.
Microbuild. That's one that's hidden deep in the shadows. It's kind of like the third defense, right? So it's a backup database for LexisNexis, CoreLogic, and SageStream.
Clarity. We got Clarity. Owned by Experian, and we also have DataX.
DataX.
And then we have Check Systems. Check Systems are
Check
how
Systems.
banks communicate with banks about your banking history.
So let's say, for instance, you messed up and you forgot about a bank. You didn't pay some little fee. And then all of a sudden, they put you in Check Systems. So you're going to go get some money, and why am I not getting any money? Because you owe the bank. So they'll go in and they'll check Systems, and you're done. So what I want you to do is go in and pull up online third-party bureaus. Third-party bureaus. And then look at all those, and I want you to go in, if it's Enovis, I want you to go into Enovis and opt out. Opt out. Opt out. And I want to make sure everybody understands, I'm not showing you just so you can do this for yourself, but you can also do this for others, family and friends or people you care about, people you don't care about, just love thy enemy, right? Yes. Opt out as many as you can. Many as you can. Now, SageStream, who are they responsible for? SageStream is where they hold your inquiries. Come on now. So you want to shut them down. You opt out. Now, very important, when you opt out, they're going to send you a letter in the mail saying you have opted out. And when they see that letter, it's going to have some numbers on there. Don't lose that letter, because you're going to need that to opt back in. People don't realize that. And if you lose it and they say, what's the number? You say, well, I can't remember. Well, sorry, click. If you don't opt back in, they can't find you. The banks can't find you. When you opt out, they can't find you. So now they can't clarify anything because they went to the third party and said, we can't show you anything. They opt out. And they say, oh, darn it. Now a lot of people are going in and they're getting these AI systems that you buy and you're sending in the letters and all that. Be careful with that because the system is very smart. And once you send in all those letters, the system grows accustomed to knowing those letters. And then they do something that's called, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, frivolous information. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. All right, so now we know we can go in and get that stuff off. So remember I said we need 5 trade lines. Okay? Some people say, Mr. Whitehead only have 4 trade lines. Well, you need another one. So there's ways to do that. So you can go in. Why not go in and get yourself what they call a loan from like a Navy Federal. They call that a pledge loan. A pledge loan. So you can take $5,000, $100, $500, $1,000, $10,000, the highest you can afford, and go sign up with Navy Federal and borrow against that money you put in. And after 3 weeks, go in and say, here's your money back and pay it off. You have a beautiful bank installment line on your credit. After 3 weeks, that's it. Yes, sir. No, if it shows up that you brought it, you paid it off, that's a great line. It's a trade line. It's a primary, not an authorized user. Mm-hmm. Whatever you can afford, the most you can. If you got 10,000, do it. 100,000, do it. $500, do it. Three weeks old will give you your 5 lines, but we want to have a good mix. Okay, so you want to have a credit card is worth a certain amount of points. A car is the next level. Car loan, that's worth a certain amount of points. A bank loan is next. That's worth a good amount of points. That's an installment line. That's from a bank, and that's money. They'll give you, loan on other little things, but you can't take that money back. And then a house loan is the top. So that's a nice mix, but you may not have that nice mix. So you're first just going in and getting yourself your credit cards. That help you get your credit cards. Now a lot of people online, they say, go in and get yourself a quill. You guys maybe heard that. Go get yourself an 80 Paydex score. What is an 80 Paydex score? An 80 Paydex score is like a 800 credit score for personal. We're building a business. So we want an 80 Paydex score. An 80 Paydex score is when you pay your bills on time and you have 5 to 8 trade lines on your business. 5 to 8 trade lines on the business. That's an 80 Paydex score on Experian Business. So I want everybody to go in when they get their business, or if you have a business, I want you to go in and apply for Experian Business. You must know what your business credit is like. We're building a person. We're getting away from us. That's for the 85%. So if something happens to Willie and you walk in the bank and Willie done messed up, if you mess up, you're done 7 years. Bad luck. Credit-based society, you're done. If Willie mess up, you go to the bank and says, I'd like to borrow some money for Willie, some more. And he says, Willie has messed up as we can see. And you're not getting any money from here. I think you should leave. That's how they do you, right? They're your friend as long as you're good. But when you're bad, you should leave. So you walk out and you say, Willie, you done messed up, Willie. You would have messed up. We can't get no more money, Willie. You walk out the bank and say, oh, no. You say, bye, Willie. Bye. Bye. So now you walk in the bank, you went to your car in the trunk, and you pull out Larry. You know what's up. Walk in the bank and say, yes, I have Larry. He never done nothing to you. Is Larry good? Yes. Does Larry speak Latin? E pluribus unum. Get in here. You seem like somebody taught you something. And he funds Larry. Then Larry comes and done messed up. I'm not giving Larry any money. He's messed up. He's late. I can't get no more money. I think you should leave. Oh, no. Larry, you done messed up. What? What we gonna? Larry said, what we gonna do now, boss? Well, bye, Larry. And you walk back to your car. Time to call Tyrone. You better call Tyrone. So now he says, I got Tyrone. Can you give Tyrone some money? Does Tyrone speak Latin? Can Tyrone help me get 9 times the amount of money? Does he have data points? E pluribus unum. Get in here. Why you standing out there? That is the game, the only game. So now, Larry has an 80 paydex score. What is an 80 paydex score? An 80 paydex score is what?
800 credit score for our business.
800 credit score for our business, right? Okay. So that's like a 80. That's like an 800 credit score, but it's an 80 paydex. Some people say go get your Quill, go get your Euroline. Everybody on the internet. I didn't learn this on the internet. I was doing this when they had phone booths. They didn't have the internet, right? So you need 5 to 8 trade lines to have an 80 paydex score. You pay your bills on time. But what I want you to know is that if you pay your bills when they're due on the 15th, that's an 80 paydex score. If you pay your bills on the 10th and it's due on the 15th, that's a 90 paydex score. If you pay your bills before the bill comes out, That's a 91. It only goes to 100. If the bank looks at your credit and see that you have 5 to 8 trade lines and you have a 91 paydex score, do you think they're not going to give you more money? You have to make the bank relax. Now, some people say, well, what happens if Willie mess up? Then that means I PG'd everything. Let me tell you a secret. I teach big companies, large companies, to do what I just taught you. And that's what they do anyway. That's why they get money so fast. And their job is to get more and more and more and more money. That's the president of a company, CEO, to get capital. I'm a capitalist for my company and make it worth more and more. So now let's talk about the exit strategy. How do I get out of this thing? Because your baby may not be pretty as you think he is. If you borrowed as a PG $100,000 from a bank as a PG, you should take out 25, at least enough for a year to pay that bill back. Everybody understand? You understand? Who said that? Repeat that one more time. If you borrow $100,000, $1 million to the bank, you're just a desperate. How much it is. The bank prints it. You're not taking anything from them. It's just a Desmo. So if you borrow $1 million from the bank, you should take out, let's say 100,000. Let's just say that's $1,000 a month, depending on the interest rate. This is arbitrary. You take out 1,000, that should be $12,000. You should take out that money that you borrowed. Put that aside so you don't have to worry about the bill. We never do that. We never do that. Now, you have the money to pay it before it comes out, like I just said, to get to the 91. Now, if you, 4 quarters in a year, isn't that right? Did you understand that part that I just said? You didn't understand that. That's why I'm looking at you like she don't think she look like she understands. Okay. If you borrowed $100,000 from the bank, you should take out however much it costs you to pay that loan every month for a year. So if you are paying $1,000, you know what they told you got to pay. You're not stupid. I know what they told me. So I'm going to take that out. If it's credit cards, loans, or whatever, I'm going to take that money out, put it aside. If my brother, my mother say, well, I don't know about my mother. My mama said she needed this. It's gone. But if somebody says, honey, well, we know we got that money over here, you get insulted. So I asked you never say anything about that money. It doesn't exist. Get that out your mind because that's my lifeline. Long as I pay the bank back, they give me more money. So we make the mistake of taking all the money, spending it, now we're looking for more money. But if you take that money out and you pay the bill, there's 4 quarters in every month, in every year. 1, 2, 3, 1 quarter. 1, 2, 3, next quarter. 1, 2, 3, next quarter. 1, 2, 3, a year. In 1, 2, 3, go by 3 months of paying that bill before it's due. You go back and say, Mr. Bank, Larry Pager, can you please give Larry an increase? So if you borrowed money, now you offset that by getting more credit if you spent some. Makes sense? If it doesn't make sense, I want everybody here to raise your hand if it doesn't make sense. The worst thing you can do is to leave here scratching your head saying, I didn't get it. I don't want you. Okay. If you go in and you have, in 1 year, they call that an annum. An annum. If you have 12 months in 1 year, is that right? 3 months is 1/4 of a year out of 4. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you go 3 months and you go back after 3 months, they're going to say they paying that bill before it comes out. After 3 months, you say, can you give Willie some more credit? They're going to more than likely look and say, whoa, you paying the bill before it even comes out. They're going to more likely give you more money. So you spent $5,000 and you raised and got more credit for $5,000, $10,000. You always That's right. See, you're thinking. Always keep aside to pay that. Everything you get, take a little pay that so I can pay this. First 3 quarters, I'd like an increase. Next 3 quarters, I'd like an increase, please. Next one, they're going to be giving you money while they're laying on the beach because they're relaxed. That's right. So now, at the end, yes. Good. The C Corp is for investors. I would say you should have a C Corp. S Corp is for investors. You can't separate from because you have investors. They own a piece of your business. They're looking at your paydex score as much to show how much your business is worth, but you have something under the Dodd-Frank Act that says anytime you have investors, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 investors. That means you have split your company in 10 pieces. If you was a C Corp, the corp is a person. And it doesn't, because the LLC and the S Corporation, they split money amongst the managers. The C Corp splits money amongst it's the shareholders. You control the shares. C Corp. Okay. Now, while we're on the subject, if your company has $10 million in assets and you never issued yourself any shares, when you go to your angels 150 years from now, that ain't your money. You have to issue shares to yourself. And I charge people, it depends on how much their corporate is worth. How much is, I said to a guy, I won't say his name. You can look at him on my website. He's a basketball player. I said, hey man, Catino. I said, you know, you got all this money. And he's making breakfast. He loves his breakfast, right? His French toast. He said, I said, Scatino. I'm over there spending the night. I says, in the morning, you know what, man? I said, you did well, man. He said, yeah, you think so? He's a lefty. I says, you played for the Houston Rockets and the L.A. Clippers? You got a lot of money, don't you? Basketball's been good to me. I says, in your company, did you ever issue shares to yourself? He says, what are you talking about, Derek? I said, I'm just saying, man, you love your kid. That's one of the best dads I've ever met, besides me. Okay, so he says, what are you talking about? I says, if something happens to you, brother, your kid's not getting the money unless you issued shares to yourself. He said, Derek, every time you come over here, man, I says, how much is that going to cost? I said, it's $25,000, man. I'm doing that for you. 25, damn, ain't going dollars, man. I said, bruh, you got millions of dollars. Is that not worth 25 grand? I said, I would charge you 75 to save 100. He says, Derek, every time you come over here, man, I says, bro, I'm trying to help you. So I'm not only showing you how to do things for yourself, but you can do this. Everything I say, you can do this as a business. What's it worth? What's it worth to you? Here's a guy who said he had a machine. Old man named John Cardam taught me this. He's a billionaire. He says, there was a machine. I says, well, yeah, okay. He says, the machine made $1 million a day. I says, because I was underselling the real estate. I said, you got to move it. He says, and the machine broke down. I says, okay. He said, and the guy came to fix it. And the guy said, I got the problem right here. It's this screw right here, this little screw. He said, fix it. I'm missing $1 million a day. He said, it's the problem right here. He said, how much is it going to cost? He said, $1 million. $1 million for a screw? He said, well, so no, sir, I'll sell you the screw for 75 cents. But you got to know where to put the screw. Right? He said, so, yes, sir, matter of fact, you can have the screw. He said, fix the machine. Okay, sir. He said, can you please go out of here, please? Machine's fixed. So the point of that is whenever you're doing something with any as far as business, it is what it's worth. What is it worth to you? Okay? Right? Don't cut yourself short. What are you worth? So everything I say you can use as a business. And do you know what I just taught you about personal business? A person that has a business that's worth $100 million. Something went wrong where they missed a payment. Okay? Do you know you can say, I'll get that off your business report for you? How much does it cost? $75,000. $75,000. In fact, they won't even ask you. They'll be like, I don't care what it is, fix it. Because we cannot move and get credit. We live off credit. $100 million business. You can charge $150,000. So the same way that I showed you how to fix personal you can fix business. It's great business. Everybody's online talking about fixing business, personal credit. You're the only one that knows how to fix business credit. That's okay. All right. Okay. So the next thing is, wrap it up. I want to go in and say the business should have a business address, not an address of a P.O. box or any of that stuff. It should be a real address. It should be a real address, not a virtual address, not any of that stuff. It should be a real address that has a where you go in, open the door, close the door to your business, a real office. Should not be that's your poor cousin living on your couch. The business actually says, the bank says, okay, it should have its own phone number, not voice over IP, Google number. It should have a real phone number. The bank says, what's your phone number? 777-9311. What's your business phone number? 777-9311. They say either you're the Times or that's your poor cousin using your phone. No, thank you. Get a real landline. It could even ring to your phone. Okay, a real landline. And also when you get your address, business address, make sure that that address is registered with the post office so that they can see that it is registered, a real registration. And if you can, also get a lease. What if they stop by the business? They don't have to do that. If you have a lease, they will look and say, oh, he has a lease. We don't have to go there. Okay, data points. So 80 Paydex, real address, real phone number. I want you to also register with Experian Business Credit. Experian, everybody should register with Experian Business Credit. Not Dun & Bradstreet. Why? Because Dun & Bradstreet will hold your information and sit it there. We have to move our business through the 5 business bureaus. Does anybody know the 5 business bureaus? Raise your hand. The 5 business bureaus. That's personal. Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. We're talking business. We're getting away from that personal. We're building a person. The 5 business bureaus. Everybody ready? Write this down. It's going to be Experian Business, Equifax Business, Small Business Financial Exchange, Small Business Financial Exchange, Dun & Bradstreet. Experian Business, Equifax Business, Small Business Financial Exchange. That's banks talking to banks. That's UCC1, UCC3. What is that? UCC1 means that we lent this person money, we're putting it into Small Business Financial Exchange, and all banks can see we lent them money. And they will put it in the county assessor's office in the city you live in. And that says, we're in first position. If you come after me, you're in second. Something happens, we get our money first. UCC1, UCC3. What is UCC3? UCC3 says, we have filed UCC3. That means they have paid off the loan. They paid it off. Small Business Financial Exchange. Installment lines. An installment line is when you borrow $100,000, $1 million, whatever, you pay it down, and you're done. Rate and term. You borrow it, pay it down, you're done. It's an installment line, Small Business Financial Exchange. Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet is merchant accounts. That's when you go to Costco cards and Home Depot cards and you know, those cards that you, gas cards, those cards that you can't use for money. We're not interested in that right now. So when people tell you on the internet, get your Quill and your Euroline and your interstate battery, that'll help you build your 80 paydex. Who the heck is going to give you $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 million because you got a $50 Quill? Nobody. Or not. You're going to go in, I would suggest that you go in and put your information into, don't wait for nobody to do it. You do it. Put your address, your phone number, all that stuff into Experian. Experian will move all your info throughout the other bureaus. Okay. Yes. Experian business, Equifax business, Small Business Financial Exchange, Dun & Bradstreet, PayNet, PayNet, P-A-Y-N-E-T, N-E-T, PayNet, P-A-Y-N-E-T. You're welcome. Okay, so those are the 5 business bureaus. They're very, very important, and nobody's teaching us. If you want to go and get yourself a car, some people say, me ride around these Rolls Royces and all these things. I'm no better than you. I just know where to go. I build up my PayNet because that's an equipment loan. That's who you go to. They're going to check if you want phones, computers, office furniture. You want things for things like this, you know, tractor trailers, heavy equipment. That's an equipment loan. Build up your PayNet. That's what they're going to check. If you want to go in and get those merchant accounts, sometimes you didn't need a gas card. You may want to go to Home Depot because you're a builder. Other people's money, not your money. That's called a 30, 60, 90-day net. 15, 30, 60, 90-day net. And so you go in there, get their Home Depot card, say, hey, I'll pay you in 90 days after I finish repairing this house and sell it. I'll pay you back. But in the beginning, we usually want some kind of money or credit cards. So that's Dun & Bradstreet merchant accounts. Dun & Bradstreet merchant accounts. If we want to go in and get money, they're going to check who? Small Business Financial Exchange. We are CEOs of our companies, capitalists. We need to know how to get money. Give me some money. Give Willie some money. If we don't know where to go for what we want, then how do we know what to get? We don't know. So that's going to be an installment line, Small Business Financial Exchange, installment lines. So you go in, they give you $100,000, $1 million, you pay it down, you're done. Installment line. Now, if we want to go in and get those credit cards, who are we going to go to? Experian or Equifax Business? Experian or Equifax Business. Does anybody have any questions so far? Thank you. I know I'm going kind of long, but I want to be thorough. I want to be thorough. Yes, ma'am.
I counsel from home, and I have all of that, but I don't have any credit in my practice because I've never needed money or credit in my practice. So for me to have like a physical office, I don't, how would that benefit me if I don't need it? Because I work completely from home. And then how would I how would I start if I've never had credit in my practice, which is about 5 years old now? How would I do that initially? Because
Got it.
I just had it set up.
Got it. So the first thing is, do you intend to grow bigger so you have something to leave your children? You want to be a hundredaire, or do you want to be a millionaire, or do you want to be a billionaire? If you rub a genie in the bottle, and the genie says, okay, what do you want? You get one wish. And the genie says, I got things to do, hurry up. And you say, I want money. He says, okay. He laughs, but go back in the bottle, says, go home. The money's on the kitchen table. You go home, you run home. Honey, I'm calling you because I'm going home and got money. This genie said, genie in a bottle? Yeah, it's a real genie. You run home and you look on the kitchen table. It's $2.75. Right? Now, the genie comes back. You say, that old dumb genie. And then your brother comes or your sister comes and says, what's this in this bottle? He said, that bottle's a trickster. He says, I'm going to try it. He says, what do you want? I want $1 billion. He said, okay, you got it. I got things to do. Bye. You're 97 years old. They are 98. And you say, did you ever get that money? He says, no. And you go to the bank and they say, guess what, sis? I got the $1 billion. He said, well, that's great. He said, no, it ain't, because I'm too daggone old. Then you go back, and the grandson, the great-grandkid comes and says, what this bottle? He said, don't worry, that bottle's a trickster. He says, you explain it to him, and he says, I got you. He rubs the bottle and says, what's in it? What do you want? You said, Jesus, hurry up now. I got things to do. He says, I want $5 billion. I want it in bonds, and I want it right now, and I want another 3 wishes. What's the moral to this story? Is you have to know what you want. Don't be penny anning. Get as much as you can get, because it's not just you, it's for our children. And they need to be trust fund babies. So what you So your situation is, first, know what you want and build your company based on what you want. Everybody doesn't need a Mercedes. Everybody doesn't need a Rolls Royce. Everybody is happy with a picket fence and a Cadillac. So know what you want, and anything you want, God said you can have it. You just have to know how to do it. So let me ask you, there's a micro. Micro is $1 million to $1.5 million to make you a accredited investor. We don't have to worry about your lifestyle. Your macro is your $1 billion idea. You have your $1 million idea if you want to expand it, or maybe you're doing it now. So what is your macro idea? Do you want 100 of these, million of these places? Do you want to expand into a $1 billion world?
Yes, I do. I'm in a program at Harvard, and that's what we're working on. The issue that I have, because they're very, very rich. The issue that I have is the transition from me being an employee-minded corporation owner to how do you start to actually build the wealth, because I've never needed a loan for my practice. I don't have a credit line, a credit card. I don't have that. So what is the initial step
So
to that. That's what, do you understand what I'm?
since I know her,
Yes.
all right, can I say this? You need to identify, first of all, what's your dream that your present business won't finance? Like, what's your ultimate vision to have under your control that what you're doing won't pay for? That's a whole big that's conversation. But I hear what he's saying. The methodology he's giving you will work, but you got to decide on what the destination is, and then that'll set the direction. Like, what's your ultimate destination? Okay, and then you determine your direction to get to the destination.
Can I add to that, Pastor?
Yes.
You said mindset, right? You the therapist. You the business. If you get sick today, what happens, right? You said that you don't see how this could work for you. Brother Whitehead said, look up the sick codes. The most profitable sick code is management services.
Right.
You have a company
You could manage it.
that falls right in line with that.
Yeah.
Because you can manage, you can coach, you can
100 of
train
you.
other people
1,000 of
just
you.
like you to run those businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So then, yes, you need money to scale that management service.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that you could have passive income and you could go to sleep and not have to listen to nobody.
You can have 10,000 patients being treated under your management company through the therapists that work for your management company, and you no longer have to do the therapy because you're managing the company. I'll be your partner. We'll talk about that. I've got an idea. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So that's exactly what I'm saying. And what I want to do is I want you to know exactly how much we are after. We're after money, right? We don't fall in love with the business. After you do something so long, you begin to have love for the business. This is a business. You're doing this for your children and your children's children. As long as we live well here, fine, we're taken care of. But maybe maybe you don't have children. Maybe you have a nephew or a cousin, somebody you love that says, I'm going to hook you up. This is next. We have to think of next generation because these kids feel like we've abandoned them because nobody taught us, so we can't teach them. So you have to figure out where exactly you want to be. So I would dare say that you want to build the Empire State Building, the Eiffel Tower, not a one-family house. So in order to do that, I want you to have non-performance thinking. You've always done all this yourself. Take the red pill and manage, hire people. We get money. We get money to do business. We don't do business to get money. You will grow much faster getting money from investors or banks than you ever will working for the money. Think about that. If you go in and you say, I'm going to sell 5 cars because I have a car dealership next month, and then I'll be able to buy another 5, how many cars is it going to take you to make $1 billion? But if you build your company properly, you can go in and get a $500 million in a year, 2 years. All you have to do is do what I'm getting ready to show you in a minute. So hang in there a second. I'm going to get to that, then I'm going to wrap it up. So you have to know how much money you want. If you want a Volkswagen, build your company and say exactly to the genie or the bank or an investor what you want and build the company the way you want it so you can get that you want. So everybody in here should be a billionaire. This is not a myth, just numbers. Don't let the numbers scare you. We've been trained that way to think that oh, I can't do that, I can't be that. I'm just another person like you. I know fear, because sometimes, let me hold that a second. Sometimes you can go in and say, I feel more comfortable with what I have than stepping in that water. Get out the boat. Get off the porch. Get off of it. This is $1 billion world. We don't want to be left. As soon as we have a horse and wagon, some other people go in and they get themselves a horseless buggy. And now we get the horseless buggy, and then the other people go in and get a truck, and they can make business doing they were using the truck. Then we get a truck, they go get an electric car. And then after we get the electric car, then they go and get they're flying private planes now. Where I live, people have helicopters. I live in Deluge. You can't live there unless you have 5 acres or more. These people go and open up this shed and pull the helicopter out, get in there and fly to L.A., go on the building and go in and do their job. And then come back and fly home. They're not in traffic. They're making in Atlanta, I just went there, flying cars. So why we have to always be behind everything? This is $1 billion world. Elon Musk is a trillionaire. And we talking about billions. So let's strive for that. If you reach for the moon and you get to the stars, you're hiding everybody else on this planet. So how do you do that? You build your company the right way with your C corporation. Your job is not to work and use your own money. Because if something happens with your own money, you're done. Something happens with your own money, you're done. Something happens with their money, you say, sorry, Willie. So you've gotten used to doing everything yourself. But it's non-performance income. You don't work. You get the money to do business and put them to work. Your job is to go in and get more money every year. How much did I get last year for my company? I raised $1 million. How much I'm gonna do this year? I'm gonna do $3 million this year. Raising money, not working. I'm not looking for no job. That's over. I'd worked long enough. My ancestors done worked for me. I know I sound a little aggressive, but this means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Okay. So we have something that's called, in the corporation, we have something that's called first level, second level, third level. What I just taught you, most people on the internet doesn't even understand the first level. That's why they kind of call me the king of this. But I'm an old guy, and I've been in this thing, and people taught me. So I'm trying to teach you. But that's just the first level. After you finish with the bank, now we're going to go to something that Obama said you can do. Don't believe me. Obama said you can do crowdfunding. There's 100 Air. I'm teaching you the 100 Air, $1.5 million. You go and get the credit cards. Once you get the credit cards as a PG, then you leverage your money and make it look bigger with a bond. 3-star insurance company, bond. That will mature 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. The bank says, ooh, you got a bond? Well, now you ain't worth $200,000, you're worth $400,000 because that bond going to kick in. You're going to have more money. Or a letter of intent. Somebody wrote you a letter, says, I intend to do $100,000 of business with you. Have it notarized, put it in there, take it to the bank. Bank says, ooh, you're going to have more money, huh? Yes. Okay, now we can raise that to $200,000, to $400,000. Out of one comes many. E pluribus unum. So now you're going to go in and then put insurance on that bond. So what if something happens to Michael Jordan? That's how they play football players and pay basketball players and lottery winners, through bonds. United States bond market is how you raise and lower interest rates. bond. Everything is backed by bonds. So now you get $500,000, then you insure it, you bond it and insure it from another insurance company, a 3-star insurance company, and then make that money bigger. Now you're insured on it too. Now after that you go in and you do your taxes, and now you can go in and get $1.5 million, $1 million. After you get that, you're done with the bank. We think the bank is everything. It's our friend, but there's the next levels to go. So now once we get that, then we go in, and now we go in and we do something called crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, Obama says you can go in and you can raise up to $5 million. Second level. So now we're talking about millionaire. All right, so let's talk about this millionaire. This is a $125 book on Amazon. It's called the Corporate Kit. Write that down. The Corporate Kit. It's called the Corporate Kit. It's $125. Why are we looking for Section 8? Government cheese. Inside that book, something that they give you. And they're called stock certificates. Remember I said you was already rich, but you didn't get the memo. Obama said it, but it wasn't broadcast all over the broadcast. You are now automatically rich. You can go in and didn't get that memo. But now you're getting the memo. So this is stock certificates. Remember I told you can go to South Africa and Europe or whatever, and they have stock. They're giving you stock. And they give you as many as you ask for. And you can sell them, Pastor. That's right. This is your own company. You can know the shares is when you buy something and put that stuff, real stuff, in your company, and your shares have value. The stock is, I have 5 million chickens. I didn't have to go buy chickens. The government gave them to me. A light went off, right? That's what I like to hear. Right? Now, my. Our people perish. Lack of knowledge. Inside that, you're just like Obama. He has his stamp, official. He has his stock certificates. It's almost a license to print money. Yes, ma'am, you had a question? Okay. So you have this $125 book. Obama says you used to need a broker dealer. Now there was someone in here who says they was working in stock. Series 65, Series 7, Series 63. Do you know what that means? Right here, in your church. They used to need a broker dealer to do this. You'd have to go through a broker dealer and all this stuff. Obama says you can go in now and you can use this stock certificate and hire somebody in the Philippines for cheap to make phone calls and get a listing of all doctors and lawyers or whoever in the phone book and have them call them up and say, "Hi, sir, I have a private placement memorandum." Write that down. I have a PPM, a private placement memorandum. That says, this is who I am, this is what I do, and sign the back, you can lose your money like any other investor. So why are we always giving money to everybody? All we do is go in, I have an investment. You give your money to Amazon. I like Amazon. But if Amazon stock goes down, do you get any Amazons anything? You just lost your money, didn't you? You don't get none of their cars. You don't get none of their trucks. You don't even get a package. Amazon keeps the money because they wrote a private placement memorandum. They says, I did not intend to. I did everything I can do. But they found a rat in the soup, so my stock went down. So how come you are not receiving money instead of always giving the money? Because nobody's teaching you how to be Amazon. So Obama said, you can get these stocks, you can get a private placement memorandum, you can have yourself a pitch deck. Anybody here knows what a pitch deck is? A pitch deck. Nobody's going to sit there and listen to you all day talk about your business. I have a great idea, and this has nothing to do with your credit. We always, my credit's down. This is only idea driven. This is about your idea. So how many people have great ideas about their business and they need money? Go get it. Here it is. Man, this is deja vu. So, private placement memorandum. She knows what it is. You have a 65, 63, 7. You know what it takes. This woman must be a genius. I have to hire people to have, but you know, there was a guy named John Rockefeller, and I was a kid. He was an old man, and he says, he was on television. He says, sir, they say you're going to build this plane. You don't have an aeronautical degree. He says, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Could hardly stand up. Young girl says, sir, I know everything about you. No, you don't. He said, yes, I do. Yes, I do. She said, how did you don't have that? He said, I just hired 5, and they all work for me. So that means I have 5 engineering degrees. We get money to do business, and we pay them to work. Okay. Then she came and said, she was shocked. The old man got her. You play with them old people if you want. They're not stupid as you think. They sit there and look at you like this. She said, sir, you're the richest man in the world. How much more money do you need? She thought she had him. He says, just about that much more. Horizontal 8. Infinity. It never stops. And there's no limit. So Obama says you can go in, this is second level. Private placement memorandum, pitch deck. Nobody's going to sit there and listen to you talk about your idea. They want you to put it in a chart and put it in writing and say, sir, can I send this to you? And you listen to it and I'll get back to you on Thursday. And is Friday a good day? And if you don't feel comfortable, hire somebody to do it. Can I get back to you Thursday? Well, okay, sir, Friday? Okay, what time Friday? Is 10 o'clock fine? 11? Okay, 11, sir, I'll be there. And thank you for your attention to this. And I'm sure you'll like what we've done, what we have for you. Okay, Friday, ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Hi, sir, did you get a chance to look at that? I know you're busy. I know you're, and you have a script for them to read. Don't go without a script. And he says, well, you know, I didn't get a chance to look at it. That's okay, sir. We know you're busy. We really respect your time. And can we make another day for you to look at that? I don't care if they put it off 3-4 times. You say, okay, sir, and you call them back again. Sir, I know you're busy. Okay, you got a chance to look at it? Yes, I'll look at it. I have a few questions. Yes, sir. Well, the first thing is, I told you about all the good stuff that can happen, but nobody ever tells you about the things that can go wrong. So I want you to think 60% about the things that could happen instead of serendipitously thinking everything's going to be beautiful because your baby is so pretty. So you tell them this could go wrong. This is our competition. This is what we're doing better than them. This can go wrong. This will go wrong. But guess what? We thought about that, and these are the things that we're going to do to fix those things that might go wrong. And somebody's going to give you some money. So we have to learn how to go and ask for some money. That is the game. You order this for $125 online. Wait, but tell everybody this now. Tell everybody. Don't be ashamed.
I have that at home, my business. People walk in and want a franchise with me. I just don't know what to do. And I thought I had to be at a certain selling point in order to get started. I have that at home. It's black.
And it's sitting right there waiting for you. That's what I'm talking about. See? That's what I'm talking about. So it says this is idea based. You don't even have to be in business a long time. You got an idea, private placement memorandum, pitch deck, transfer agent. That's a separate person like escrow that will go in and say, I'm taking their money and giving it to you, and I'm taking your paper and giving it to them. And if you lose the money, you get to keep it. Obama says you can raise up to $5 million. Now, the end of this is, that's second level. The end of this is, they have something that's called a fund. How many people here have heard of a fund? A fund. Technology fund, real estate fund, whatever you want to do with it, a fund. Very easy to build a fund. Pitch deck, private placement memorandum, transfer agent. And you go to SEC attorney, which we have one that works for me, that was on that stage. And you build your fund, idea based. And two things they want to know. What's the story? And do you have experience? And is it a good deal? It's $500 million complex. I want to build a $500 million complex. How do you think Trump builds Trump Towers? With a fund. He raises funds. So let's get out of the baby world. Let's get out of the baby talk. I don't care how old you are, because half the people on this planet have no idea of what I'm telling you. Because they said the game is to be sold and not told. Got it? Okay, I know it was kind of lengthy, and if you have any questions, you can always go to economicmasonry.com, economicmasonry.com, and I teach this. I've been teaching it for free every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 o'clock California time. Every Tuesday and Thursday, 5 o'clock California time, economicmasonry.com. And we go from the ground all the way up. And what I've just taught you is called a scratch pub coat. A scratch pub coat. That means taking a person from nothing underneath a bridge sleeping. If they have a social and you have a ID, that means you qualify. Okay? And a scratch pub coat means taking a person from scratch, nothing, everybody's something, I'm talking financial, to a publicly traded company or anything in between. Scratch, publicly traded company, scratch pub coat. You're not going to find that on the internet, but the game is to be sold and not told. Yes, sir, what's your question? Yes, sir.
What percentage should the officer own when you put them on the court?
25%. Yes.
story is experience, and what else was that third thing you said?
What's the story, and do you have experience? And the next thing is to make sure that there's some type of equity. So we take advantage of other people's losses. We're businessmen, businesswomen. I don't do hair. I'm a businessman. I'm a capitalist. You have something I can capitalize on? Do you have something? Okay. So you go in, you take yourself $500 million deal. So what? It's just numbers. Don't be afraid. And they say, how much is this? 500 million. How much is it worth? 500 million. What you want for it? 500 million. Buy. How much is this? 500 million. How much is it worth? 500 million. How much you want for it? 490 million. I like that. Why are you selling it? What's the story? Because I had COVID, I went home, I found him home doing something he ain't supposed to be doing. I'm selling it and I'm getting rid of it. We take advantage of losses, foreclosure, whatever. If you go to the bank with a $500 million deal that's an apartment complex, and you have 65% occupied, the bank's going to say, after you pay everything, you still have $600,000 left over. That's great, but that's not good enough. I have $10 million in equity. What's the story, Derek? They love that part because it's a game. Well, the story is they was in foreclosure. Man, you can't wait to hear. You know what happened, man? Man, the guy got it. He came home. His wife was she came home. He was in the. Really, what happened? Man, she came and hit him in the head with the pot, man, and came out and said, I'm selling you, getting a divorce. He said, oh, that's great. That's a good story, right? They love it. So now you have equity. You have money that's going through the business. So I would suggest that you learn how to buy and sell businesses. Sales, mergers, and acquisitions. Got it? So there's 3 levels to this. You decide, where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Rub that genie. You're already rich. And thank you, everybody, for being here.
You're the professor. You're the professor. I want to say this because this is not a one conversation conversion. This requires work, but it requires a mindset. And before we give Brother Derek the kind of applause I know we're going to give him, I want to make sure we heard a couple quick things. One, he talked about Carmen Herrera, raise your hand, Carmen, and her financial training and licenses. Carmen is the director for our newly launching Faithpreneurs Ministry. Faithpreneurs. Now, I want to make sure all of you, did we have a sign-in sheet tonight? I'm sorry?
It's on the website.
I need somebody to come and instruct me because I want to be very clear. So I'd like to have sign-ins, but come and instruct me, please. Because, listen to my point. What you honor, you will learn. Who you honor, you will learn from. And the fact that you spent this time tonight here says that you honor the concept of building wealth enough to have come. You honored us because we invited you, you came. You honored Mr. Whitehead because you listened to him. I hope that you will honor the fact that wealth building is a learned lifestyle, not a one conversation victory, right? And if that's the case, I want you to connect with our Faithpreneurs ministry because we'll have this resource here and consistently have classes and opportunities for learning and for growth. And you want to also involve the people connected to you, because you don't want broke people around you not understanding you. I don't mean that derogatorily, but if you can help elevate the mindsets of your family and your friends, you can get there faster. And then the second thing is, Mr. Whitehead has a local team here in Houston. And with all of these services available and all the way to the top floor, that deals with funding, getting your credit there, everything he's taught you tonight, there's an apparatus for helping you to get there. Deliver me from people who want to get there without following the apparatus. Nobody is in the NFL because they were just talented. Let me say it again. Nobody is in the NFL because they were just talented. They follow the process, right, with the right people helping them to get them to where they are. That's why you never make the mistake of calling a professional athlete sorry. That is absolutely impossible. Okay, it's impossible. They went through something to get there. So I want you to honor the processes. We will have information as to how you can access all of that, because it's very important that you get connected to the process through the right people, all right? We want to give this to you. And then finally, I want to say to Mr. Derek Whitehead tonight, I've listened to a lot of presentations, but tonight, what you presented here this evening has been priceless information, and we want to thank you. Come on, give him the kind of hand that he deserves. And I know you're in Houston periodically with your operations here, and I know a good church that you would fit in. And whenever you are in town, we would love to have you come back. We want to do this again at a deeper level and involve even more people and keep building each other. I am so thankful for the understanding that if we build each other, all of us get built. And so I want to appreciate his unselfishness and your unselfishness to the highest. Now, yes.
And while Bishop is appreciating everyone else, I believe we would like to appreciate Bishop Dixon for his unselfishness. Yes. There were many years ago when I began to see Bishop for who God purposed him to be, that I said that if I could just hang around close enough to get the crumbs that drop from the table, then I know that I will be set up in the right place. And that's because God is always allowing him to connect to people. And he does that because he's so unselfish with what he gains. He can trust him with what he has in his hands. If you want to stay connected to the table that we have been prepared for us here at the Community of Faith, I need you to go to the Community of Faith website, www.thecommunityoffaith.org. Click on the Kingdompreneurs drop down. There you will find the registration information, and we will be able to stay in contact with you. That means we're connected, and we're connected because we're in our elevated season. Don't you want to go with us? Come on.
Church membership is not required to be a part of our entrepreneurs ministry. Want you to know that it's open to everybody, so please don't think you have to join our church to be a part of our entrepreneur's journey. We love to have you to be a part, all right? I want to thank God for the team. Mr. Derek, Would you quickly just introduce your team?
Yes, well, we have a large building in Texas, and of course I'm out in California. I come here periodically, and I wanted you to know before I do that I was given a pretty nice seminar on Saturday, and the bishop showed up and got in the dressing room, and I said, "Who's in the dressing room, man?" And he doesn't let anybody in the dressing room. And this one is like a boulder. And so when he came in, I stood up and I said, "Yes, sir." And I knew that once I looked in his eyes, I saw something, and it was unable to refuse. And I don't have to say that. I knew. And then when I came here and he explained to me the background of this church, about how this person was a slave and built all of this stuff, and then his grandfather came in, and then his father came in, and now him, this is something special. So I said, tell the plane, come back for me tomorrow, and we'll put it off. And I was very tired. I meant to come to the service in the morning, but I was just so tired. My legs were killing me for 12 hours of teaching. But I said, I have to make it here. And now I know why, when I heard the background of the church and why he looked at me like that, as if like, you can't refuse me. I said, I can refuse anybody I want to. He said, you can refuse me. You have to come teach my people. So I want to thank him. And we have here a big building down in San Diego. I mean, not San Diego, my town, and here in Houston. And this is Neil and Brandon, and they run a large part of the whole credit department down there. And they help thousands of people, literally a month. And then we have another level where we come in and get you seed money in case you can't afford the corporations and the credit and all that stuff, and they help you get the next floor. And then we have another area where you can, where we have bankers up there on that next level, and they go in and help you get loans for your company because you need to go to the bank and get the money. So they put it all together. So this is Neil and this is Brandon, and they are pretty heads up do everything, you know. And then we have Wellington here, and Wellington used to drive around Whitney, Houston, and everybody there is. Little baby, everybody you could imagine. He drives them around, and he heads up you know, all my seminars and all, and then this big one over here, he heads up the security, and we have a bunch of big ones like him all over the place. And so, and that one there is his son, and he handles the camera work, and he's just spoiled. He's, you know, yeah, so this is a big part of the team, Neil and Brandon, and you know, say a little something about our company and what we do.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Neil Harris. Been doing credit for about 12 years. It's an honor to be standing alongside Mr. Whitehead and doing God's work. So we really take people from the personal side to operating into the business world. You know, the biggest thing that we like for everyone to understand, that it's not a 50-yard dash. This is a marathon, you know. Some people have triathlon profiles too. You got to climb over mountains and swim through sharks. But we going to get through it, right? So always understand that you can press the reset button at any given moment when your credit is bad, okay? Mr. Whitehead says a lot about fiat. Yes, the system is flawed, right? That's why they created the Monopoly game, okay? So the Monopoly game is really life. You got to go across that board, not go to jail, right? You got to get across that board and invest in the water company. You know, I hated playing with my parents because they go and buy up everything, and now I'm owing them.
Yeah, the whole time.
And then I go to jail, and so
How you doing? I'm Brandon. So I've been doing credit since maybe like 2010. I quit my job like 2016 to do credit and credit alone. But, you know, I know a lot about the finance world, but coming around this man here, I learn sitting beside him every time, every day. We eat lunch, I almost want to pull out a tape recorder. And it's like, it's such a pleasure to be a part of such a team, such a big thing that's helping people to be the heroes in their household. You know, a lot of people like to help you from their perspective so they can get the glory. No, we want to put you in position so you can get the glory and God can get the glory, right? You know, this is God's work. So just a pleasure to be here, and I'm willing to help and able to help. I'm going to do it.
Amazing. We're going to have all the contact information, all the follow-up information that you need. This is what we say at the Community of Faith. We empower people like you to win. And so that's what we do here at the COF. It's really about that. The Community of Faith Church is kind of different than some other churches, I should say. I mean that not to be elitist. But we really do understand that our purpose is to teach people principles that are eternal, that are eternal, that when you apply them, irrespective of who you are, where you're from, those principles empower you to become what you are already purposed to be. I believe, and you hit on my message, you're already rich. You were really born wealthy. You discover your wealth. You discover your wealth as you know the principles of processing out who you are. Because you're made in God's image and in God's, and God has never been poor. So if you're made in God's image and in God's likeness, you were not poor. You learn to think you were poor. And because you learn to think you were poor, you act poor. And you do things that it takes to remain poor. Because that's, are y'all follow me? And so that's called the miseducation of the person by people who are miseducated themselves. So if you understand what light is to darkness, darkness can never stop light. Darkness only exists where light is not. And since you don't have light on this subject, you're operating in the dark in it. And this is turning on the light. All right, and so that's what this is all about. Stay connected. Please go to the website, join the Faithpreneurs Ministry, and be a part of this, and connect with these brothers who are going to tell you how to do that, because I expect by this time next year, come on, look at somebody, tell them, by this time next year, I expect you to have another story. Because you were here on purpose. Because God has your future in mind. In Jesus' name. Amen. Y'all walk by faith and not by sight. When you walk by faith, you are empowered to win. God bless y'all. Amen. I got to get to the news station. Shake the hand on the way out. Amen. Almost win. Almost.